Protesters in Puerto Rico remain defiant as hundreds of thousands demand the island's embattled governor resign. Violent clashes erupted overnight in the capital of San Juan. Demonstrators clashed with police across the city. Officers fired tear gas at groups as they marched near Governor Ricardo Rossello's mansion. So David Begnaud is in the middle of this all, and he's joining us now from San Juan, where at least it looks like the streets are quiet. Are you close to the governor's mansion, David?
Oh, yeah, sure. The governor's mansion is just, I'd say, 200 yards behind me. So this is Calle de Fortaleza. Fortaleza is the governor's mansion. You can still smell tear gas in the air right now. Look at some of the damage. So you've got new graffiti. You've got windows that are broken. Some of what protesters, and I want to stress, this is not all protesters. It was a handful, just a handful, threw at police officers yesterday, but it was pieces of cobblestone that they were picking up. This is a vehicle that burned. The Puerto Rico police just arrived to go ahead and take pictures of the vehicle. If you look inside, right here, our photographer Kent will get a shot. That is the gas canister which police fired last night at protesters. It landed in the back of this vehicle, and the vehicle caught fire. The man who owns it, his name is Robbie Santiago. He is right there. And I interviewed him. I thought one thing that was interesting about what he said was, he said, David, I participated in the demonstrations earlier in the day, those that started in the morning, Anne-Marie, which we talked to you about yesterday, where the protesters shut down a major highway that connects San Juan to the rest of the island. He participated in that. He was not participating last night. He was with a friend, but he saw images of the car on fire on television. His mother actually called and said, hey, it seems to be getting really tense down there. He came out to check on things, and his car was on fire. I should show you this. These are some of the canisters that we've picked up that were fired by police at protesters. And it hasn't happened every night, but almost every night it's gotten to the point, right around 11 o'clock, where police move in, tear gas is used, pepper spray, smoke bombs. But last night was especially tense, and it went on well into the morning. I think the first tear gas was fired at 11 p.m. People scattered. Around midnight is when the canister hit Robbie's vehicle, and it probably continued well into about 1, 2 a.m.
It might not be a good idea to park your vehicle along any of the roads leading to the governor's mansion.
Good point.
So, you know, you talked about how things...
That's exactly what Robbie said, by the way.
Yeah, he's learning the hard way. You talked about how things really got intense overnight. I'm wondering where we go from here. You know, yesterday there was this massive demonstration that had been organized. You probably got more people taking to the streets than had been out probably previously, people who probably skipped work or skipped school to make sure they were there. And they dispersed, you know, after sort of police started shooting off the tear gas. But what happens now? I mean, I'm concerned about what the next level of protest will look like.
Well, so you should know that there has never been a gunshot fired by anyone, that a majority of the protesters have all been peaceful. Every single one of them. A handful ends up messing up the night for everybody because they lob these, whether it's a rock or they start fireworks or they throw plastic water bottles at police, and that's what escalates things. You're asking the one question every single person asks is, how long does this go? And I've been asking the people, these are young, determined, defiant, resilient young people who are saying, we will be here every night. Now, it does help that college isn't in session. It does help that school is closed for the summer. But Anne-Marie, I was really caught by the fact that on the very front lines last night, literally standing on the police barricades, were some of the youngest faces, 15, 17, 21, 29, right? These are people whose parents may have voted for the governor. Maybe they didn't vote for it. But as one man said to me, he will mess up my generation, and so that's why I'm here to protest. How long does it go on? I don't know, but I'll tell you this. Every time the governor opens his mouth and speaks on television, it is like pouring fuel on an open flame, because, as one woman said, he puts a foot in his mouth, and it gets us fired up even more.
Well, speaking of that, have we heard from him at all recently?
Oh, yeah, he gave an interview yesterday. He chose his first one-on-one with Fox News. And I got to tell you, if he thought Shepard Smith was going to go easy on him, he had another thing coming. There was a point where Shep asked him, he actually asked him a question I asked him a week ago today. I said, Governor, whose support do you have? He didn't answer the question. He kind of hemmed and hawed. Shep asked him yesterday on Fox News, and he again hemmed and hawed. And then he settled on the mayor of San Sebastian. So one of our colleagues in New York called the mayor of San Sebastian, who told CBS News, I do not support the governor. People have started to say things like they're starting to feel bad for the governor because every time they see him on television, he seemingly either embarrasses himself or, in the opinions of the people who live here, embarrasses them.
Yeah, I saw him sort of sputtering through that answer, and when he said, you know, the mayor of that town, sorry, I don't want to mispronounce it. It occurred to me, I thought to myself, does he even actually know his name? Because he couldn't actually spit out an actual person's name, you know? Yeah, it was something to see. David, stay safe. Thank you so much for your coverage.
You bet.